Hey everybody, welcome to Brothers 5 Gaming, and today we're going to show you the newest build of Ship of Harkinian's Ocarina of Time port for the Wii U. And we're just going to load this out of the homebrew loader here on the Wii U and just give you a look at what our new options look like. When you first boot up, you may get a black screen for a minute. This is normal as it's just adjusting and building some files, so just bear with it here. And here we've got it loading up here. And in order to access our menu, we're going to hit the minus button. And that's going to pull that bar up on the top of the screen, as you can see here. And the first thing that I'm going to want to do is adjust my controller settings. And so if you just hold down the stylus or your finger on the control configuration, that will pop this up, and it does have an automatic setting for the gamepad. We're going to switch this here to, I'm using a Pro controller, or you can also adjust the buttons on your gamepad as you would like. And this does have a default setting for the Pro controller. And I'm just gonna do some switches here. This is just how we play to have this set up more like an N64 controller. It's a little different, but works for us. And we'll come back to this after for some camera settings. So up here, if you look at the shipwright options, are just like a nice little reset there. And then we have our audio settings, which I am just leaving everything at 100%. And let's go ahead and actually boot up the file here, so that now that we have our controller set, so that you can get a look at how everything is actually going to look in game. Alright, then back up here we're gonna have, also on the controller options, you can select to show your inputs, and that's going to show you what buttons you're hitting on the screen. And on your graphics here, you can adjust the internal resolution, which I'm actually going to turn down to 66. 66, which is the amount that works best when you are running 60 FPS in game, which is what I'm going to adjust it to. You can also leave it at 100% and run 30 FPS just fine, but if you run 100% and 60 FPS, at least on the Wii U, then you're probably going to get some stuttering, some tough movement. The PC version can run hundreds of FPS, so if you're doing that, don't even worry about changing the resolution. You can change your renderer here is not going to change on the Wii U. I'm going to adjust the texture filter to linear, which we won't see until we reboot, but that's just to smooth out some edges, make it look a little nicer, since we can't run it at the full res. And the text font I'm going to leave. You also can change this into German or French. I haven't tried that. I don't speak much of either language, so there's some enhancements you can do. There are some presets here, including the randomizer, which I have not tried, but I have played Ocarina in a randomized fashion. It's very interesting. If you are into randomizers, we may even do that someday on the channel here. And there are some further control things here that you may want to check out. You've got D-pad support on pause and file select screen, D-pad support and text choice, D-pad support for browsing shop items, D-pad as equip items, which is really helpful. You'll see on the right side of the screen under the C buttons now we have a little D-pad icon, and we can now set items to the D-pad buttons, which gives us 4 more options instead of just the 3 for the C buttons. You can have this allow the cursor to be on any slot in the pause menu. You can prevent this will if you play the ocarina incorrectly, then it will prevent dropping. And this allows you to answer Navi with the L button, which is very helpful instead of having to use the C stick up button, which lets us actually not have to use that button. And for your gameplay, you've got also under controls, before we go to gameplay, you're going to hit this customize game controls, and this will give you a couple more options that are pretty helpful and important. One is your ocarina controls, which you can do by you can completely change what buttons you want for the ocarina, or you can, what I like to do is play with the D-pad. This makes your D-pad buttons work on the ocarina screen along with your A button, and it allows you to play, I think, much faster. And then your camera controls, this will allow you to change some of the things on how the camera works, particularly when we're going to do is enable a free camera, which will make this feel much more like a modern 3D game than back in the day. And you can also invert the axes. You can use a right stick for aiming, and you can select to auto center for a first person view, kind of like when you're firing a weapon, which is pretty cool. Back to the gameplay options, we've got a couple things here. We've got time savers. This is big. You can turn up the text speed a little bit. Makes dialogue go a lot faster. There's some times in this game where dialogue is painfully slow. There's King Zora is particularly slow at moving along a couple periods during the game, and you can speed him up too. You can change the time that it takes to make the Bigaron sword for when you do the trading quest. You can increase your climbing speed on vines and ladders. If you turn this up higher, you will literally be zooming up the side of all the cliffs, let me tell you. That might make it actually a little too fast for the game, but you know, if that's something that bothers you, his slow climbing speed, certainly turn that up. And the block pushing speed also can take a while sometimes. Then you got some other options you can do. making them lift blocks faster when you got heavy blocks. You can make it so Navi is not forced in situations. So basically you can turn her off. Navi does not do that. You can also turn off the Skulltula freeze. You can turn on the bunny hood, acting like Majora's Mask, which will enable you to run faster while you are wearing it. You can open the fast chest. Opening chests allows you to open large chests like they were small chests, where it's quick and you just grab the item. You can skip the pickup messages, which can take a while. You know, every time you get the same thing like rupees, you can just skip through that. Better owl, very important one. For whatever reason, the game designers decided that when you're talking to the owl, the default option is to say, "No, I did not understand you, owl. Please tell me all that all over again." And we've all been blazing through that dialogue in the old classic game, and we accidentally hit "I didn't understand that," and then he says it all over again, and we get mad at the game. And you can turn that off now. That's great. This lets you skip the ocarina playback when you play a song, so you just play it and then you're done. You don't have to sit through it if you don't want. You've got skip Scarecrow song, and then he just shows up instead of when you pull the ocarina out, instead of having to play the song every time there's a Scarecrow spot. You can also have instant put away, which can be annoying sometimes when it's just taking that extra second, especially when you're fighting. You can, if you're a child and you're using the boomerang, when you throw the boomerang, you can hit the button again and he will call it back instead of having to wait for it to come back to you. You can use this to, once you've completed the masked quest, you can just change the mask slot in the menu so that you don't have to keep going back and getting others. And then you can also enable remembering the save location. So when you're in a location and you save, instead of normally when you're a child, you'll, as you can see here, you'll come back to your treehouse in the Kokiri forest, or if you're an adult, you will immediately start back in the Temple of Time, and that won't happen if you have remember save location on. Then when you reboot the game, you'll come back to where you were. You also have difficulty options you can change. A lot of people who've been playing this for 20 plus years, they find the game's pretty easy. This can add in a little bit of difficulty for you. I'm going to leave all of these off for now, but it's something that you can definitely play around with. You can change your damage multipliers, you can turn off drops, you can make it so you can't get heart drops. And there's a couple of things that actually make things easier here. You can get bomb chew drops, and you can always win the Goron pot, which is the spinning vase in the middle of the Goron city. That means if you throw a bomb into it, you always win the top prize. You can change how much your potions restore, and that goes for increasing or decreasing. And same with the fairies. And in the fishing game, you can make that a bit easier. You can make it instant. You can make it guarantee that a fish will bite. And you can lower the minimum weight to get the prizes. And we also have reduced clutter here, which will disable some of the options here. Like you can change your UI. You can disable Navi calling out to you. And you can mute when your health is low so you won't get that emergency beeping. Here we have Visual Stone of Agony, which if you don't have Rumble, this will help you because then you can actually see an icon on the screen. This allows you to assign your tunics and boots to C buttons or the D-pad buttons as we've enabled here. That way you don't have to go into the menu to say change to your iron boots. You can just do it by hitting a button. It's a lot faster. You have an equipment toggle, which will let you remove equipment. You can have Link's cow in both adult and child Link. You can allow time to pass on your file select screen. You can set counting gold Skulltulas, which will let you actually display how many Skulltulas you have when you kill one and get the token, instead of having to go into the pause screen and check. And you can, this allows you to pull a grave in the graveyard during the day. Normally you can only do it at night when you're a child, which makes it a little easier. I mean, if you have Sun Song, it's not a big deal. You can change the time of day, but it does help you a bit if you just want to run in there and pull a grave and get out. On the graphics, we have a few things here. You can have things go into N64 mode, which will actually change your aspect ratio and lower your resolution. And you can see how that looks here. There's also enabling your drops to be in 3D, which I believe I've actually read that if you don't turn this on, there could be some bugs. So I would suggest turning it on anyway. And it does look cooler, so you've got that going for you. This will disable the black bar letter boxes during cutscenes and Z targeting, but this could cause some glitches. The dynamic wallet icon is nice. You can see that actually changed the color of the rupee. That's displaying what size wallet you have in game without needing to check. Normally it's just green, but you know, the second wallet's blue, and then with the adult wallet, and then the Giant's wallet, the next wallet is red rupee. And this will always show you the dungeon entrance icons on the map, which could be pretty helpful. And we also have animating Link in the pause menu. And you can see here the different things you can do. And we're just going to put it on a random cycle. And you can take a look. And you can see that Link is actually moving here, which was in the original game is static. And now he's just doing some different random stuff. It's just kind of fun dancing around there. Next up, we have some fixes. And these are things that did not work properly in the original game. You can fix that, like your two-handed idle animation, dungeon entrances, the L and R buttons in the pause menu. There's a grave digging tour glitch. The glitch that didn't allow you to upgrade your Deku nuts, even though our channel hates the Deku nut. Fixing Navi's text position. Fixing Anubis fireballs, which will allow you to reflect them with the mirror shield. And then fixing the Megaton hammer crouch stab, which you can also remove that. Then there's some restorations, some things that were taken out. So you can make Ganon's blood red. You can fish while wearing the hover boots. Normally you can't cast if you are wearing them. You can put on some weird frames. You can allow your bomb shoes to go out of bounds. And you can restore some old Gold Skulltula cutscenes. There's also an option here for autosave, which is more in line with Breath of the Wild, so you won't have to worry about pausing and saving your game frequently. Of course, you can still do that, but it's not necessary. There is some cosmetic edits here, but these don't work well on the Wii U, so I would suggest not using them. It's all pretty experimental, but you can change a lot of color schemes, change your HUD, NPCs, all sorts of stuff. But we're not going to go into that because they don't really work here. Here's where you can change your FPS, and you can go from 30 to 60. Nothing in between. Those are the only options. This allows you to disable the level of detail. And this here disables the draw distance, whereas in the original, anything past the draw distance is going to be kind of behind a fog. It's not going to display. Turning this on allows those things to be seen at all times. It does cause quite a bit of stutter. It's still kind of experimental, but it is useful. Or, I mean, not useful, but it is a pretty cool feature, and hopefully in the future it will be running much smoother. I don't know if the Wii U will ever really be able to handle it, but the PC certainly in the future probably should be. Your skip text option is going to let you hold down B to skip text, which can be really annoying. It does note that it can cause a soft lock, so you got to be careful with that. And then one of our favorite features here, the free camera, which we will go back and enable on the controls. That will allow us to use buttons or a analog stick as a camera stick, and then you can actually rotate the camera around like you would in a modern game. And we'll show you what that looks like. Here you have some cheat options. We don't really use cheats, but there are some interesting stuff in here. Letting you climb everything, no clip. You can do a moon jump. You can wear a super tunic, which lets your regular tunics have the effects of the others. Then you don't have to switch off. You can have a infinite sword swing effect. You can use any item in any location. I won't guarantee that won't lock your game at some point, because that's certainly not intended. You can freeze the time of day, like if you were in a town. Normally when you're in Hyrule Castle Town or Kakariko Village, time won't pass, but anytime you leave there it will. But if you need things to be on a specific time, you could freeze it if you want. You can make drops not disappear. You can make your Deku Shield fireproof, which actually is something that is very useful when you have things like fire bats coming at you. You can use a shield with a two-handed weapon. you can make in-game time sync with real world time, which and you probably have to have your Wii U set to the correct time to use. And you can enable a beta quest, which warns will reset your game. There's also some infinite options. You can have infinite money, health, ammo, magic, Nairu's love, or Epona's boost. There's a few developer tools. I'm not going to adjust these at all, but they are there if it's anything that you're looking for. One of them in particular, fast file select. If you only have one save file going, this will instantly go through the intro screen into the menu and select your file for you immediately. If you have more than one save select, it's annoying. So I have that turned off. And then we have our randomizer options here, which will be cool to go into sometime, but you can set up a randomizer, and there's an item tracker in here too to keep track of everything that you've got. So we're just going to go back right now to our controller config, which has reset to auto. My controller disconnected here, so let's just go. And this did reset, so we're just gonna pop these back the way they were. And then what I like to do is set my right analog to my camera stick. And I just turn up the sensitivity to around 11 to 14 is probably pretty solid. This does make you have to get a little creative with your C buttons. So usually just do a couple different things here. And I usually leave the C button up turned off because we can answer Navi with the L button. We don't really need it to look up with the free camera option. And I just got to fix my R button here. And then it'll be all set. And we'll just give you a little demo of how this looks. We're going to pop outside here. And you can see just a quick look around. We've got the 60 FPS on. This is the free camera, so we can rotate it in all directions around us. And we'll just head out to Hyrule Field to give you a little look at that. All right, and here we are out in the field. And you can see everything's running pretty smoothly. No issues at the 60 FPS. And we can still look around. There is this one glitch where the road disappears underneath your feet. Not sure what causes that. Nothing major. I've seen a couple other graphical glitches while playing, but nothing that really impedes your gameplay. And everything works as it should. Alright, so if you've got any questions or comments, please let us know. If there's anything that we missed going over, let us know. We'll be happy to add on. And we will see you next time on further videos. And hopefully this helped give everybody a nice visual of the options that we can do with Ship of Harkinian particularly on the Wii U port. These are the same options you can do on the PC port as well, but we're playing specifically on Wii U, and the PC does run, of course, better. It is much more powerful than a Wii U these days. All right, we will see you next time.